The Power of Self-Discipline by Peter Hollins. Introduction: Unlocking Your Inner Strength. Hello and welcome. Are you ready to embark on a journey? A journey not to a distant land, but deep within yourself? Today, we're diving into The Power of Self-Discipline, 5-minute exercises to build self-control, good habits, and keep going when you want to give up, by Peter Hollins. This isn't just a book, it's a roadmap. A guide to unlocking a version of yourself that you might not even realize exists. A version that is focused, resilient, and capable of achieving what truly matters to you. Have you ever felt like you're your own worst enemy when it comes to reaching your goals? Do you find yourself starting strong, only to fizzle out when challenges arise or distractions call? If so, you're not alone. But here's the good news. Self-discipline isn't some magical trait you're born with or without. It's a skill, a muscle that can be trained and strengthened. In this audiobook review, we'll explore together the core principles from Peter Hollins' insightful work. We'll uncover the hidden obstacles that sabotage our efforts, understand the cycles that keep us stuck, and most importantly, discover practical, actionable strategies to build unwavering self-control, forge good habits, and develop the tenacity to keep going, even when every fiber of your being wants to give up. You'll learn how to rewire your brain for success, make friends with discomfort, and turn your intentions into reality. The benefit? A life where you are in the driver's seat, consciously creating the results you desire. Now, who is Peter Hollins? He's an author and researcher specializing in psychology and human behavior, known for his ability to translate complex scientific findings into easy-to-understand, practical advice. External source. General author bios online for Peter Hollins often highlight his focus on psychology, human behavior, and practical application of research. His website, petehollins.com, serves as a platform for his work. Hollins has penned numerous books on topics like learning, productivity, mental models, and, of course, self-discipline. His writing consistently aims to empower readers by providing them with the tools to understand their own minds and make tangible improvements in their lives. The Power of Self-Discipline stands out as a practical guide in the self-help genre because it moves beyond mere theory, offering concrete exercises and mindset shifts. It's for anyone who's tired of being derailed by their own impulses and is ready to build a foundation for lasting achievement. So, if you're ready to change the way you think and act, keep listening. The journey to a more disciplined you starts now. The Inner Battles: Understanding Why We Struggle, the Story of Untapped Potential. Meet Rosa. Let's begin with a story many of us might see a reflection of ourselves in. Imagine Rosa. From the age of 8, after watching Back to the Future, she dreamed of becoming a movie director. It was her sole ambition. For 20 years, however, this dream remained just that, a dream. She was an avid movie watcher, her knowledge of film trivia unparalleled. She read biographies of her favorite directors, from Spielberg to Kurosawa. She even owned an expensive video camera and film editing software. But they sat gathering dust, intimidating and confusing. What if she tried and failed? What if all her knowledge wasn't enough? It felt easier, safer, to remain in inaction, to learn about filmmaking rather than do it. Does this sound familiar? How many of us have dreams we keep locked away? Passions we research endlessly but never pursue, for fear of not being good enough, or simply because the path of least resistance is so alluring? Rosa's turning point came when an acquaintance started a YouTube channel that quickly gained millions of views. The videos, in Rosa's expert opinion, weren't even that good. Poor framing, flawed narrative structure. Yet, viewers loved them. This was a stark realization. Someone with far less knowledge was doing far more. And it sparked a crucial question in Rosa. If she can do it, why can't I? This is where the true journey begins. This is the moment where the desire for change starts to bubble. But what was holding Rosa, and what holds so many of us, back for so long? The invisible walls, mental hindrances to self-discipline. Peter Hollins suggests that often, the biggest obstacles aren't external, but internal. He draws from Buddhist philosophy to outline 5 mental hindrances that block our path to self-discipline. Recognizing them is the first step to dismantling them. Are you ready to see what these walls are made of? First, there's giving in to the 5 senses. We get distracted by our physical surroundings. the sight of something beautiful, the smell of fresh bread, a catchy song. These sensations can overwhelm our conscious thoughts and goals, making us slaves to instant gratification. Our attention becomes like a balloon, blown about by any passing breeze. Second, animosity and malice. Emotions like anger, resentment, bitterness, and even self-loathing can completely override our self-discipline. We obsess over past injustices, real or perceived, and this drains our energy, diverting it from our goals. Third on the list is apathy and laziness. Let's be honest, being human takes work. It's often easier to shut down, to feel nothing, to seek escape from mental and physical activity. We naturally gravitate towards the path of least resistance. But what happens when this becomes our default mode? Fourth, we battle anxiety and remorse. Unlike apathy, anxiety makes us mentally overactive. The fear of a bad outcome, of imperfection, leads to worry and agitation, making any action feel overwhelmingly stressful. Inaction then seems like the safest bet. And finally, hesitation and doubt. Why would you strive for something if you believe it's all for nothing? Questions like, can I really do this? Or, what's the point? Can be debilitating, eroding our resolve before we even begin. These 5 hindrances, Hollins explains, often keep us trapped, believing that a lack of personal power is our reality, when in fact, it's an illusion we can overcome. But it's not just about mindset, there's something else at play, something deep within our biology. The brain's betrayal, dopamine, and the pleasure principle. Here's a challenging thought. Sometimes our own brain works against our best interests when it comes to discipline. It sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? But it has a lot to do with a tiny chemical messenger, dopamine. Dopamine is often called the pleasure chemical. It's released when we experience or anticipate pleasure and reward. And here's the catch, we are all, in a sense, dopamine junkies. Our brains crave it, and they want it now. This makes it incredibly difficult to choose delayed gratification, like the rewards of finishing a tough project, over instant dopamine hits, like scrolling through social media. Why go to the gym when you can eat a pie right now, even if you know what's better for you in the long run? This ties directly into what Sigmund Freud popularized as the pleasure principle, the idea that the human mind does everything it can to seek pleasure and avoid pain. It's primal, unfiltered, and doesn't really think about long-term consequences. Hollins outlines a few rules that govern this principle. Every decision is based on gaining pleasure or avoiding pain. We work harder to avoid pain than to get pleasure. So giving up often feels less painful than persevering. Our perceptions of pleasure and pain are more powerful than the actual things. Our brain often cooks up worst-case scenarios. Pleasure and pain are changed by time. Immediacy is king. A small reward now often trumps a larger reward later. And crucially, emotion often beats logic. So you see, the pleasure principle is a major saboteur of self-discipline. We are biologically wired to prioritize the present moment, which is often the opposite of what self-discipline requires. But don't lose hope. There are ways to work with our brains. Section 4. The lens of time. Are you living in the past, present, or future? Another fascinating concept Hollins introduces is time orientation, based on the work of Stanford professor Phil Zimbardo. How we perceive and relate to the past, present, and future significantly impacts our self-discipline. Some people are past-oriented, making decisions based on historical information and often resisting the new and different. Their thinking can be inactive, not very conducive to self-discipline. Then there are present-oriented individuals, living primarily in the now. This group can be broken down further. Present hedonists embrace the possibilities of the present, seeking out immediate enjoyment and adventure, often without too much concern for long-term consequences. Present fatalists don't necessarily like the present, but feel they have no control over their future, believing life is rigged or dictated by external forces. What do both these present mindsets have in common regarding self-discipline? They are both geared towards instant gratification. And as Hollins points out, self-discipline and instant gratification are opposing ideas. Think of the fable of the ant and the grasshopper. The grasshopper, present-oriented, plays all summer, while the ant, future-oriented, diligently prepares for winter. We know who fares better when winter arrives. Finally, there are future-oriented people. They focus on distant possibilities and consequences, thinking about the outcome they want and working backward to achieve it, often without the distractions of the present. They have no problem with delayed gratification. They understand that important goals take time to develop and are willing to forsake immediate satisfaction for more fulfilling, meaningful satisfaction later. This mindset is perfectly suited for strong self-discipline. Most of us are a blend, of course, but understanding your dominant time orientation can be a powerful aha moment. Are your current thought patterns serving your long-term goals? Act 2. Forging a Will of Steel, the Path to Self-Discipline. Section 5. The Power Within You. It's up to you now. After hearing about all these internal battles and biological predispositions, you might be wondering if building self-discipline is an insurmountable task. But here's a crucial insight from the book that can change everything. A huge part of the solution is simply believing that you can do it. Hollins cites research by Veronica Job, who found that students who believed their willpower was unlimited performed better, procrastinated less, and even made healthier choices. Their self-messaging was a crucial element. It's like the placebo effect for willpower. We have as much as we think we do. This is incredibly empowering, isn't it? It means that despite the obstacles, the power ultimately rests in your hands. Choosing self-discipline isn't about restriction, it's about gaining ultimate freedom. It leads to avoiding temptation more easily. You control yourself when internal forces clash. More life satisfaction. The rewards of self-control are far more gratifying than immediate thrills. Doing more of what you want. It positions you for success and allows you to pursue challenging, enriching activities. Being more in the moment. You become more aware and attuned to opportunities that help you grow. Setting boundaries. It builds your resolve to resist those who might derail you. Knowing yourself. It's a journey of self-discovery, revealing what you truly value. So, the first step is deciding. Are you ready to believe in your own capacity for discipline? Section 6. The Cycle of Laziness and How to Break It. Have you ever noticed how one act of putting something off can lead to another and another until you're caught in a spiral of inaction? Hollins calls this the cycle of laziness, and understanding its phases is key to disrupting it. This isn't just about feeling apathetic, there's a deeper pattern at play. The cycle typically unfolds in 5 phases. Unhelpful assumptions or made-up rules. These are the often unquestioned beliefs that underlie our feelings of not wanting to do something. For example, life should always be fun, so I shouldn't do hard things. Or, I need to be in the mood/have perfect conditions to start. Or, I'll probably fail, so why bother? Increasing discomfort. When what you should do conflicts with these assumptions, tension and discomfort arise. You feel agitated, maybe angry, bored, frustrated, or anxious. Excuses for lack of self-discipline. To reduce this psychological discomfort, you construct excuses to make your inaction acceptable, to remain the good guy in your own story. I'm too tired. I'll do it tomorrow. I don't have the right tools. Avoidance activities. Excuses alone might not be enough, so you engage in activities that either distract you or make you feel productive in some other, less important way. Think productive procrastination, cleaning your desk when you have a major deadline looming. Negative and positive consequences. Avoiding responsibilities always has consequences. Negative ones include increased guilt, anxiety, and accumulated work. Illusory positive ones might be the temporary relief from discomfort or enjoyment from the procrastination activity. Both types of consequences, paradoxically, can perpetuate the cycle. So, how do you break this cycle? The good news is you don't have to tackle it all at once. Disrupting any one phase can make the rest impossible to continue. Hollins offers strategies. Challenge unhelpful assumptions with the 40% rule. This rule suggests that when your mind says you're maxed out, you've likely only used about 40% of your capacity. Believing you can do more makes it true. It's about accepting a degree of pain as part of the process. Increase your discomfort. Tolerance. Self-discipline is inherently uncomfortable. The key isn't to eliminate discomfort, but to handle more of it. Practice stepping out of your comfort zone in small, manageable ways. Like Jia Jiang's rejection therapy, confronting fears desensitizes you. Understand and reframe. Excuses. Recognize common excuse-making mindsets like the perfectionist, all or nothing, the intimidated, fear of failure, the environment blamer, external forces are always at fault, and the defeatist, success is impossible. Instead of denying excuses, dig for the truth, the mentally weak conclusion, and then formulate a mentally tough conclusion. Engineer your environment to minimize avoidance. Make self-discipline the path of least resistance. If distractions are hard to access, you're more likely to stay on task. Hollins cites Brian Wansink's study on plate size. Smaller plates led to eating 22% less food. Make the right thing the easy default thing. Out of sight, out of mind for temptations. What if you added SMART goals? Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound, or better time management to this. These tools further dismantle the cycle by providing clarity, motivation, and structure. Interesting, isn't it? The power of yes or no. Brutal honesty for breakthroughs. Sometimes, what we need most is a dose of stark, undiluted truth. Peter Hollins dedicates a chapter to a powerful self-interrogation technique, asking yourself a series of questions to which the only allowed answers are yes or no. No gray areas, no buts, no explanations. Why this rigidity? Because it forces you to confront reality without the usual justifications that cloud our judgment and enable procrastination. It pushes you to either accept a harsh truth or realize you need to take action. Are you ready for some tough love questions? Will this course of action create a gap between my ideal self and my non-desired self? You want the answer to be no. This question forces you to consider if your actions align with the person you aspire to be, your steal self, versus the one you're trying to avoid, your reign self. It highlights potential identity conflicts and motivates you to protect your self-worth. An alternative phrasing: does this course of action get me closer to my goal? Does this action truly represent my intentions? Hopefully, it's a yes, because self-discipline means actions matching intentions. If not, what are your actions actually working towards? Are you just paying lip service to your goals like the writer who dreams of a novel but never actually writes? Am I merely uncomfortable? Is your reason for avoiding something only about discomfort, not actual harm? 99 times out of 100, Hollins bets the answer is yes. It's just discomfort, and discomfort has never been a legitimate reason to abandon self-discipline. This question aims to make you face the shame of being easily stopped by something that won't actually hurt you. What would I do if I had no choice but to exercise self-discipline? This one isn't yes, no, but asks for a short, realistic answer. If a gun were pointed at your head, you'd likely find that you could do the task, and nothing terrible would happen beyond some discomfort. It reveals that our worst-case scenarios rarely materialize. Is "I don't want to" a good enough excuse to not do something? You already know the answer is no. Hollins encourages a perspective shift. Recognize the privilege of choice. Many people have to do things they don't want to, without an option to procrastinate. Viewing your tasks as opportunities you get to do, rather than chores you have to do, can foster gratitude and a more positive outlook. Am I doing the right thing or the easy thing? The right thing and the hard thing are often the same. This question forces you to categorize your actions and be brutally honest if you're just taking the path of least resistance. Is there a real obstacle to my goal that can't be overcome? This is an excuse buster. Most obstacles are not insurmountable, or they are products of our attitude rather than external reality. What is the outcome of this action if I continue along this path? This activates long-term thinking. Are you choosing immediate pleasure that will lead to future regret? Or are you choosing temporary discomfort for long-term fulfillment? Consider the consequences in 10 minutes, 10 days, 10 weeks, 10 years. These questions are like a mirror, reflecting our true motivations and behaviors. Painful perhaps, but incredibly clarifying. Section 8. Neurodiscipline. Traits, Principles, and Daily Habits. Now that we've confronted some hard truths, let's explore how to build the very fabric of a disciplined mind. Hollins delves into the neuropsychology of self-discipline, outlining traits of high achievers and actionable principles. What if you could cultivate these within yourself? First, figure out where you are by assessing yourself on 8 key characteristics of disciplined individuals: a strong sense of purpose, the big why; seeking out positive mentors, role models matter; a sensory-rich vision of your goal, see it, feel it, taste it; strong belief in self, It's possible and you can do it. Ability to plan and organize, plotting a course. High value on education, learning, and skills, lifelong growth. Patient perseverance, sustaining effort over time. Seeing work as pleasure and play, enjoying the process. Rate yourself from 1 to 10 on each. This self-appraisal gives you a clear idea of your strengths and weaknesses. Then, Hollins provides rock-solid principles for lasting motivation and self-discipline. Here are a few game changers. There is no ideal time to start. Someday is where dreams die. Resistance will always find a reason to delay. Act even if you're unsure or scared. Baby steps, not quantum leaps. Focus on small, sustainable changes you can repeat daily. Momentum builds from consistent, small actions. Flex your intrinsic motivation, not your extrinsic. Motivation from within, passion, values, is more sustainable than external rewards or punishments. Ask, would I do this if nobody noticed? Lead yourself, not into temptation. Avoid temptation rather than constantly resisting it. Make it easier to stick to commitments than to give in. Make friends with discomfort. Expect it, relish it, see it as evidence of change. Improving yourself will be more uncomfortable than the status quo. And that's a feature, not a flaw. Know how to bounce back after you mess up. Mistakes are normal and expected. Forgive yourself quickly, learn, and get back on track without letting a small slip turn into a big one. And what about daily habits? This is where self-discipline becomes almost automatic. Hollins offers powerful techniques in Chapter 5. Make a formula. Understand the forces at play with a formula like self-discipline, SD, ISU, personal motivation plus positive benefits, discomfort plus distractions. If the positive side outweighs the negative, you have the prerequisites for self-discipline. Assign numeric values to each factor to see what you need to adjust. The if-then technique. Create implementation intentions. If X happens, then I will do Y. This links your desired action to a specific cue, making it more automatic and less reliant on willpower. For example, if it is 3:00 p.m. on Sunday, then I will call my mother. Or, to avoid failure, if they bring cake to the office party, then I'll turn it down and drink water. Studies show this makes you 2 to 3 times more likely to succeed. Impressive, right? Know your discipline style, moderation or abstinence. For some, moderation works, allowing small indulgences without going overboard. For others, especially those with weaker self-control or facing strong addictions, abstinence is simpler and more effective. A blanket no rule. Know yourself and your tendencies. Utilize peer pressure positively. Surround yourself with disciplined, motivated people. Use accountability partners who won't buy your excuses. Find role models to emulate. Or simply make your goals public to create a sense of accountability, even if it's driven by the powerful desire to avoid shame or embarrassment. Control your impulses. Impulses are the antithesis of discipline. Research shows a link between our prefrontal cortex, decision-making, and brainstem, basic functions, emotions, in impulse control. Strong emotions can weaken this link, making us more impulsive. Strategies to strengthen control include the power of 10. Delay acting on an impulse for 10 seconds or 10 minutes. Often the urge disappears. Label your feelings. Identifying an emotion, I am feeling angry, puts distance between you and it, allowing for a more rational response. Write down the facts. Objectively list facts of a situation, leaving out emotions, to clarify what you should do versus what your impulse wants you to do. Ask why. 5 times. Interrogate the root of an impulse. If you can't justify it through 5 whys, it's likely not worth indulging. These aren't just theories. They are practical tools you can start using today. Conclusion. Your journey to an empowered life. So, we've journeyed through the core of Peter Hollins's The Power of Self-Discipline. We started by understanding the internal landscape, the mental hindrances like sensory overload and self-doubt, the brain's penchant for immediate dopamine hits via the pleasure principle, and how our very perception of time can shape our actions. We met Rosa, a symbol of untapped potential, and perhaps saw a bit of ourselves in her initial struggles. But then, the narrative shifted, didn't it? We discovered that self-discipline isn't a fixed trait, but a belief we can cultivate. We explored the insidious cycle of laziness, and crucially, learned concrete strategies to break free from it, from embracing the 40% rule to re-engineering our environment. We armed ourselves with the stark honesty of yes or no questions, designed to cut through our own excuses. And we delved into building the very characteristics of disciplined high achievers, adopting rock-solid principles, and forging daily habits like the if-then technique and impulse control strategies. What we've learned is that self-discipline is a path paved with conscious choices, practical tools, and a compassionate understanding of our own human nature. Now let me ask you a few questions, just to see how these ideas have resonated with you. Thinking about the 5 mental hindrances, like giving in to the senses or hesitation and doubt, which one do you feel most often trips you up? And what's one small step you can take this week, inspired by this audiobook review, to counteract it? Remember the cycle of laziness, with its unhelpful assumptions and avoidance activities? Can you identify one unhelpful assumption you tend to make and how you might reframe it using a mentally tough conclusion? Of all the practical strategies discussed, from the if-then technique to the power of 10 for impulse control, which one are you most excited to implement starting tomorrow? And how do you envision it changing a specific area of your life? What struck you most about the concept of your ideal self versus your non-desired self? And how will that awareness influence your choices moving forward? These aren't just questions, they are invitations to action, to reflection, and to transformation. The power of self-discipline, as Peter Hollins masterfully shows us, is ultimately the power to choose, the power to persist, and the power to create a life aligned with your deepest values and aspirations. Don't let this just be another interesting audiobook review you listen to. Take these insights, these strategies, and make them your own. Your journey of growth is ongoing, and the tools for building a more disciplined, fulfilling life are now in your hands. Go forth and use them.